It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Monday, the 11th of August. I'm Michael Groff. Dry conditions and temperatures remaining above average today, but moisture levels will be slowly on the increase through the week ahead, and we will see a chance at those afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms over the mountains, and eventually those will be creeping into the lower deserts by the middle and especially the latter part of this week as a somewhat more active pattern comes in here. Now, just how long it lasts, what are the actual chances that we see any precipitation here in the valley, and what about temperatures? Yes, obviously with moisture levels coming up, more clouds in the mix, higher humidity, that means temperatures are going to be coming down, but how low will they go? We'll talk about that. Plus, we've got some stuff brewing in the tropics, so much to get to as we dive on in just a moment. Hey everyone, it's Michael Groff here to talk to you about your roof. With all the extreme weather we have in Arizona, you need a name you can trust, and that's why you should call Blackstone Roofing Group for all of your roofing needs. Call for your free inspection today. Big or small, they do it all. Tile, shingle, or flat roofing, they can help. Offering free inspections and more. Roofing made easy. Call 602-536-9363 or visit blackstoneroofinggroup.com to schedule your free inspection today. And if you tell them Michael Groff sent you, they'll take $500 off the price of your roof replacement. Again, that's 602-536-9363 or blackstoneroofinggroup.com. All right, let's take a look at that almanac from yesterday, and we broke the streak after 14 consecutive days with a high temperature at or above 110. Yesterday, we managed just a mere 108 degrees officially at Sky Harbor International Airport. That morning low of 91, of course, both of those are still above the averages of 105 and 84. A trace of rain officially in the bucket over there at Sky Harbor, and that was at about 2:30 in the morning with some gusty winds and kind of a early morning dust storm. And as we take a look outside right now at 10 o'clock, we've got mostly sunny sky. We're sitting at 99 degrees at Sky Harbor. Dew points at 59, humidity 27%. The air is calm. The barometer is steady. Satellite picture out here across the southwest. High pressure remains anchored over California and northwest Nevada. The flow aloft here is out of the north, and so as a result, fairly dry air is in place. Any thunderstorms that develop over the higher terrain, generally speaking, unless they were to develop just due north of us, they're not going to get in here in that kind of a setup. And certainly that surface moisture, even though we do have some around, it's not going to be enough just to trigger storms here in the lower deserts. Not today. The air mass is just too stable. But that ridge will start to move as troughing once again begins to develop off the Pacific Northwest coast. And so the flow aloft will switch out of a more favorable east and southeasterly direction as we go through the remainder of the week. But it's going to take some time to get that monsoon moisture in here. The watch warning map, air quality alerts, of course, for much of Minnesota and Wisconsin. Out here in the west, it's all about the heat and the dry conditions. You've got the extreme heat warning for Phoenix. That's through tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. And obviously up in the Las Vegas Valley, much of the Mojave Desert, and points further to the north. Yeah, heat and more heat. That continues to be the story. And of course, there's some red flag warnings and all of that, and high fire danger out here in the west as well. A number of significant wildfires in Southern California and throughout much of the western United States, unfortunately. The convective outlook for today got a couple of marginal risks on the board over parts of New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, as well as North Dakota and northwest Minnesota. Saw an interesting stat. North Dakota has had 40 confirmed tornadoes this season. That's pretty impressive, and I believe that is the most on record for that state in a single season. All right, the tropics in the Atlantic Basin, they're beginning to heat up. We've got a brand new tropical storm on the board. That's Erin. We also have two tropical waves or areas of interest, but neither of those systems are going to be any threat to the United States, any threat to land. Even if they do develop, they are going to just be fish storms. But Erin, on the other hand, we're going to watch this. Right now, just a tropical storm. This is expected to become a hurricane, perhaps even a major hurricane, which by definition is Category 3 or higher. Now, it is going to start to curve north, and it sure looks like this is going to stay north of the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, and Hispaniola, and most of our model guidance keeps this east of the East Coast of the United States. Perhaps this is a threat to Bermuda. We'll have to keep that in mind. But other than that, this should avoid the United States. But, of course, with any system that's way out here so far away, we're going to have to wait and see, because this sort of relies on the idea that there will be a weakness in the big ridge out here in the Atlantic, and that's going to allow the system to turn north. If that doesn't happen, well, then the East Coast of the United States will have to be on lookout for this. But this is just a long ways away, so we have plenty of time to watch it. All right, the precipitation outlook around here. This is valid through Monday morning of next week. Rain amounts in Phoenix, about 1 to 2/10 of an inch, maybe as much as 1/4 of an inch. And, of course, higher amounts possible over northern, eastern Arizona. The southern part of the state, southeastern portions of Arizona, could see in excess of 2 inches. And obviously, your amount will vary whenever we show you this graphic. That's what we always tell you, because any one storm can obviously produce more than what's shown here. This represents an average of what we'll see across the region. So to break down this weather pattern in more detail, what's going on? Things turning a bit more interesting. Let's figure it out as we get to the models right now, see what the future may hold. Here we go, GFS 06Z run. 2 o'clock this afternoon, starting with that upper look at 500 millibars. That's about 18,000 feet off the ground. High pressure in the northeast, high pressure in the northeast Pacific and extending down into California and the Great Basin. Betwixt and between that, we've got a trough of low pressure over the upper Midwest. Arizona kind of sitting between that. And so the flow aloft is more out of the north today. And so what that's going to mean for us down at the surface for the rest of the day, mostly sunny and just plain old hot and relatively dry. Yeah, I know it's a bit muggy down here at the surface, but above about a few thousand feet off the ground, the air is extremely dry. And so high temperatures today will top out, I'd say right around 110 degrees, a couple of degrees either side of 110. And yes, that's above average, but that is not record-breaking for this time of year. We will see a few showers and thunderstorms over the higher terrain of eastern and southeast Arizona, but for the most part, I don't think we're going to see any storms here in the lower deserts, at least not in the south central deserts today. I suppose there could be 1 or 2 that pop up someplace, but it's just not worth putting into our forecast. For tonight, the sky is mostly clear. Overnight lows in the 80s for most of us, around 90 though in the urban core. And then for tomorrow, mostly sunny. The ridge of high pressure is sliding a little bit to the east. The flow aloft is north-northeasterly. And we will see some widely scattered showers and thunderstorms over the higher terrain of eastern and southeast Arizona. I suppose it's not out of the question that tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening we might see a storm here in the lower deserts, including Phoenix. And in a nod to that, we have put a 10% chance of rain into the forecast for tomorrow night. Otherwise, high temperatures about 108 to 112. Let's go to Wednesday. We've got a developing trough well off the Pacific Northwest coast, and that's starting to nudge our ridge further to the east. And so as a result, it will be sitting now more toward the northeast of Arizona. The flow aloft is switching back out of the northeast and east. And so somewhat more deeper moisture is coming into the state. So widely scattered afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms will be around. A few of those will make it into the lower deserts, so we'll just nudge that rain chance up to about 20% on Wednesday. Still, I would say the majority of us aren't going to see anything here, but there is a slightly better probability that we could get some storms in the lower deserts. The most likely outcome from those storms Tuesday and Wednesday will be gusty winds and blowing dust, but I suppose somebody could see some rain. And again, high temperatures right around 110 degrees. Thursday, deeper moisture continues to come in because now that ridge is getting pushed further to the east, more toward New Mexico, and eventually it's going to end up in the southern plains, and the flow is now out of the southeast. And so as a result, deeper monsoon moisture is coming in here, scattered afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms. And again, we'll just nudge that rain chance up a little higher to about the 30% bracket here in the lower deserts, with higher rain chances obviously over the higher terrain. High temperatures will come down a couple of degrees. I'd say anywhere from about 103 to 108 here in the lower deserts. And that humidity is coming up as well. Partly sunny sky will be with us. Same thing Friday, partly sunny, scattered afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms. Now, the forecast is a little bit tricky here. The European actually is showing a bit deeper moisture plume coming into the southwest than the GFS, which is a bit of a switch from how it's been this summer. And so regardless of which solution plays out, we do expect an increase in showers and storms, but if the European is accurate, I'd say Thursday might be the better day for storms, and if Thursday is more active, Friday may be a little less so. If Thursday turns out to be slightly less active, then Friday could be the day for storms in here. Either way, we've just nudged those rain chances up to about 40% for Friday, so just this small incremental increase in the number of showers and storms around each day through Friday. High temperatures are also going to just slightly nudge down each day, with highs anywhere from about 101 to 106 on Friday. Now, as we go to the weekend, though, unfortunately, that trough that's along the Pacific Northwest coast is going to nudge further to the east, and the flow aloft begins to switch back out of the southwest, and that's going to start to dry us out again. So the monsoon moisture that comes in, it's here for a good time, not a long time. And so we're going to start to dry out. We'll still have a slight chance of showers and storms here in the lower deserts on Saturday. But storm chances overall across the state will begin to decrease with the drier air coming in. But that ridge far away from us now, in the presence of troughing coming in, and the heights continuing to fall as they do throughout the week. And by Saturday, we'll see highs only around 99 to 104 here in the lower deserts. So again, it's not looking too bad temperature-wise. That's pretty close to where we ought to be for this time of year. Let's keep going. This is Sunday, and I'd say we're mostly sunny here in the valley. No chance of precipitation for us. Only isolated showers and thunderstorms over the higher terrain as we dry out. But that drier air probably doesn't last too long because this is going to be a fairly progressive trough. At least that's how it looks right now, as opposed to this long 2, 3, 4 week blocking pattern. This is more of a progressive setup. So by Monday, the ridge is already starting to build back toward the southwest, and the flow aloft may begin to switch back out of the southeast. And so some widely scattered afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms would start to come back into at least the eastern third of the state, probably still holding off here in the valley. High temperatures would begin to recover, though, with the presence of the ridge coming back in. And there you see what would be Aaron, well off the east coast of the United States. This is Tuesday, the 19th of August. And now high pressure is sitting across Colorado and the flow aloft out of the southeast. Now the ridge is intensifying. That's not the greatest news because even though it's in a favorable location and we will see some monsoon moisture, thermal profiles would suggest that the air mass would be somewhat more stable. So we'd really need a good push of moisture and some stronger outflows to get those thunderstorms really going here in the lower deserts. But either way, at least we'd have some chance of storms, even though temperatures would be back toward 110 degrees. Let's keep going out 10 days. This is Wednesday the 20th. And high pressure sits to the north of us now, but it's a 597 ridge. The flow aloft is out of the east. That's good for bringing in moisture, but it's a 597 ridge, so it's a very intense ridge. We have the core of heat, that heat dome just sitting to the north of us. Upper heights here in Phoenix would be about 595 to 596 decameters, and that's, depending on how the thermal profiles are, it will be hard to get widespread convection here in the lower deserts. Even though that's a good place for the ridge to be, it's a little too strong for a widespread storm outbreak. But the caveat there is, if a disturbance rotates in around that ridge, some sort of inverted trough or an MCV, well, then obviously all bets are off and we could have an increase in storm activity regardless. But it's all dependent on how that plays out. And we're just at 9 and 10 days out. There's just no way we can tell those type of discrete features. And the models just would never be able to handle something like that. Looking at rainfall for Phoenix off the GFS Ensemble. This goes out through the 25th of the month. And again, the Ensemble mean, as it has been, continues to sit between about 1/3 and 1/2 inch. However, the European AI ensemble, which has been the more accurate of these ensembles this summer, even it is trending up, and just about every member shows precipitation in here over the next couple of weeks, and the ensemble mean is just about 1/3 of an inch. Control member's about 1/2 inch. So, it sure looks like the probability of precipitation continues to increase. Now, it may not be this long duration type situation, but at least for a couple of days, maybe a few days, the middle and latter part of this week will have at least chances of storms and maybe returning chances of storms as we go into next week. We can't seem to get a long duration sort of monsoon event to really get the moisture infused across the state for say 7 to 10 to 14 days at a time. We just haven't had that this summer. We haven't had all the players on the board in the right position this entire summer. But hopefully at least we'll have a chance, a window of opportunity for precipitation later this week. Temperatures off the national blend of models. The trend is down. I mean, that's good. And by Saturday, that is likely going to be the, if you want to call it that, the coolest day of the forecast period, with high temperatures maybe at or even a degree or two below seasonal averages. And then we'll warm it up next week with high pressure building back in, but maybe some moisture will return for another round of showers and storms. And that's going to do it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video is due back here tomorrow morning. Should you happen to enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell, leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. If you're really enjoying what we do here and you want to support the channel, help us out, click that thanks icon below the video here on YouTube. It's called a super thanks, and we would super thank you to do that. Also, our PayPal address, it's groffshow@gmail.com. That's groffshow@gmail.com for PayPal. Our Venmo, it's also linked up down in the description. The executive producer of the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion is my OAO, the sweetest of all time, the Asian sensation and proprietor of sweetchildaz.com.org and the Facebook page of the same name, Sweet Child Arizona, talking about my Michelle. Check her out. Blogs, videos, everything Michelle related, probably Adriana related. It's all linked up down in the description. Check it out. Our streaming station as well. It is available to you 24/7, 365. It's called KMGX. We play a ton of music and have a lot of fun with that. And just like everything else, it too is linked up in the description, as is our friend Dan over at the Courtroom Files YouTube channel, The Courtroom Files. Check him out as well. Does a great job with all of his content, and I highly recommend that. In fact, I would dare say it is required viewing if you're going to view this channel. All right. Thank you so much for watching. All of your continued support is so greatly appreciated. Please be safe, stay cool, stay hydrated out there, and you guys have yourselves a delightful rest of your Monday. Yeah, I know it's Monday, but still, delightful Monday.